everyone, welcome back to Living Through IT, a lifestyle podcast for teens by a teen, hosted by yours truly, Isabella. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today's episode is going to be all about how to stay on top of all your responsibilities, classes, extracurriculars, just all of it. But before I get into it, let me tell you guys how life has been with me recently. So I mentioned last week that I wanted to start a K-drama called Something Next Door. Well, it's called Love Next Door. And it is so good, guys. I'm literally obsessed. I think there's 6 episodes out right now. And the cliffhanger on episode 6 is driving me insane. Like, I need to find out what happens. But I have to wait until Saturday. And it's Sunday right now, so I got a while to wait. But there's another K-drama that I want to start that's also currently uploading. I don't know the name of it at all, though. So, I don't know. I'll tell you guys next week. But yeah, and then I still haven't started watching Suits, but I really want to. I think I'll probably start it like today or tomorrow. And I also haven't had a chance to check out the Paralympics. I've been so busy that I haven't been able to. But I am going to check that out right after I finish this episode, so can't wait. And then I finished reading A Crate Among Wolves by Jane Hur, and it was so good. The ending, it scared me for a little bit there. I was like, there's no way she did that, but no, it was good. It was good. And then I checked out another book when I returned that one, but I don't remember the name of it, and I haven't started it yet. But I think it's like another historical fantasy, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. And then I'm listening to Linger by the Cranberries. I've been listening to it, I think, every day since the last episode, and it makes me kind of depressed. I don't know, like, it gives, like, nostalgic vibes, and especially since I'm a senior right now, like, it just hits different. But yeah, and then I'm also still listening to worship music on my drive to school, which is super nice and is super calming and relaxing. And then, again, still working on college apps. I'll probably be saying that literally until, like, January. And then my personal essays and studying for the November SAT and managing my classes and doing homework and doing all my club responsibilities on top of that, plus doing this podcast. So I've been really busy, but you know what? I still had time to, like, take some time for myself. Like, if there's a will, there's a way. That being said, I am currently in the 3rd day of a 4-day weekend because I didn't have school on Friday and I don't have school on Monday because of Labor Day, so woo! On Friday, I went to a college tour at UCLA, which was super cool. I really loved it over there. It was super pretty. And then I went to the beach right after with my friends, and we just had such a calming and relaxing time. I was a little late because of the tour, but it was super fun. And for the first time ever in my life, I got into the ocean. Like, full on. I think I've only ever been, like, up to my knees and I'm like, and then I leave. But no, like, I was in there. Like, in there. Like, probably up to, like, my neck. And, like, some of the waves kind of threw me. But, you know what? I'm still here. I'm still alive. So it was really fun. But yeah, I've never done that before and it was super cool. And after a while, it gets warm. So, I mean, obviously that makes sense. He's, like, acclimatized or whatever. But I expected myself to take a lot longer to get used to the ocean. But no, it was really warm. It was nice. It was like the perfect day too, like there was like no clouds in the sky. It was awesome. But yeah, and then I'm looking forward to attending my first youth ministry meeting. It should be next Saturday, hopefully, fingers crossed. Because I joined a new youth ministry at the church that I've been going to recently because I kind of switched churches a little bit because of my choir that I joined. But yeah, I'm really excited. Hopefully I get to meet a lot of new people and meet more friends that are very like-minded to me. So yeah, it'll be fun. But anyways, now that I'm done with all of that, I did mention how I've been juggling a whole bunch of different stuff. Like a lot. And you know what? It's kind of hard. And I realized that, you know what? Now that school's like up and like really started right now, you guys probably do also have a lot of stuff to juggle right now. So I thought I would give you guys an episode of little tips and tricks on how to stay organized and on top of things. Since I think I've gotten pretty good at doing it, given the fact that I've always been busy since literally middle school or even younger. I don't know. I've always been really busy. So I know a thing or two. But yeah. Anyways, I made up how many? I think, yeah, 6 tips on how to stay organized and on top of your stuff. So first is to find out what your priorities are. The way that I do this is I'll literally just sit down and brainstorm every single thing that I need to be doing. Like, okay, I have my AP classes, my honors classes, my regular classes. All that is one thing. And then I have this club, that club, that club, and that club. That's another thing. Okay. I'm also like a leader in this, and I have a position in there, so that's another thing. I have the podcast, this podcast, so that's another thing. I have college stuff, whether it's the applications or the essays or studying for the SAT, or also applying to scholarships. So that's a whole other thing. There's just a whole bunch of other stuff. And then also like family responsibilities, and then just like other stuff that will pop up every once in a while. So once you have to just sit down and like think through like everything that you have been doing, like what you're responsible for. And then once you have that list, you're going to organize it from most to least important. So like for me, on the top of the list would probably be like college stuff, and then right below or like around the same level would be AP classes and like honors classes. And like at the bottom would be more casual stuff. Like this podcast, it's pretty simple for me since I know how to like record and edit, and it's usually just a one shot. So it'll be like in the middle of my list. But like there's other stuff that might not seem that big of a priority, but it is a big like hassle, I guess you could say. So make sure you allot that in, whether you want to like do two separate lists of whether something is like a huge priority or something takes a long time, or you can color code or any of that stuff. But yeah, but once you figure out, like you make that list and you organize it, tip number 2 is to figure out how often and for how long you have to do all those tasks and priorities. So whether it's like, for me, studying for the SAT is like, what, 30 minutes a day? And that's like every single day. Or cleaning my room, which I guess for me would fall under like the other stuff that I mentioned previously. Cleaning my room would be like a weekly task for like an hour or something like that. But whatever you like do, like whatever you allot for each task, make sure it's reasonable and like that you can actually achieve that. Because like keep in mind there's only 24 hours in a day, and like there's always things that pop up. Like school is like 7 to 8 hours. If you drive yourself like I do, then it's like a 9 hour slot, especially if you have zero periods like I do, you know, just all that stuff. So make sure you allot for that. And you also have to eat, you have to shower, you have to sleep, you know what I mean? You have to like get ready for the next day, all that kind of stuff. So make sure whatever you allot the times for, that it doesn't, I guess I'm trying to say is don't try to schedule for a day that ends up being like 32 hours, if you know what I mean. So yeah, just make sure you really like take into account like all your other responsibilities. Using the bathroom, another thing you always forget you have to do. Drinking water, walking around, just the traveling or distances you have to do to go to place. Sometimes your responsibilities are at different places. Just make sure you account for all of that. I know it's a lot to like think about, but you'll be way more grateful and like more at peace once you actually do it, if that makes sense. But yeah. Tip number 3 is to use a planner. So I mentioned previously that I've used Notion, but this year I switched back to like just a regular planner. And then when I use Notion, I'll use Google Calendar, and I'm still kind of using Google Calendar now, but I'm more on that like regular academic planner. Excuse me. My school gives us a planner with like all the school events and like the schedules and stuff every year, and it's like the entire year planned out. So it's really beneficial for me to just use that planner. So that's what I've been doing this year, and honestly, it's working better. I don't know. I think also just flipping through and seeing the pages and stuff where like I've crossed things out because I finished it makes me feel a lot more accomplished, and like feeling that sense of like, oh yeah, like I did all of that, like helps motivate me to do my other stuff. So maybe that might work for you too. So like whatever type of planner works better for you, whether it's like a paper one where you can actually see your stuff, or if a digital one works better for you because it's like less things to carry. Whatever it is, just figure it out and then put all of the responsibilities and stuff that you have to do into that planner. That way like everything's in one place. And try to keep it all in one place. I know I said that I use both Google Calendar and my planner, but I use Google Calendar more for like big events, and then like all my like to-dos and like tasks and priorities are in my planner. So yeah. Um Tip number 4 is to figure out a routine both daily and weekly for the that satisfies your needs and priorities, and also allow for the amount of time that you need to do each task. So what I mean by that is some, like I mentioned previously in tip number 2, some of your tasks are daily tasks while some of your tasks are weekly tasks. So make a schedule for both. Like every day, like at 7 from 7:30 to 8 p.m. I'm gonna do SAT practice. But also every Saturday at when I wake up from 8 to 9, I'm going to clean my room. Stuff like that. So like making one schedule, whether it's just a day-to-day schedule or just a weekly schedule, won't really work out because of that different types of allotting of times for those tasks. So I suggest doing both. I do both. It's not like a set one, but like I kind of know like what I need to do and what I can get away with only doing once a week. So do that. And then tip number 5 is to just stick with it. Like at this point, like you gotta do it. Just try to avoid procrastinating as much as possible. Try to get ahead instead of getting behind. So like motivate yourself and think about like what your future self would appreciate her past self doing. So like for me, when I'm doing stuff and getting ahead, like, oh, I'm doing it for future Bella. I'm doing it for future Bella. So like I'll do an assignment that's due in 2 days, 2 days before instead of the day before. So that future Bella or that one day before Bella doesn't have to do the assignment anymore. And I can use that time for other stuff, whether it's doing more stuff ahead of time or if it's just resting or if it's hanging out with my friends or if it's like doing some family time, stuff like that. But yeah. And then I know saying like to procrastinate is like such a big thing and it's like, oh yeah, easy to say. Trust me, I know. I procrastinate a lot too, but honestly, if you just like schedule stuff for yourself, it'll be a lot easier for you to actually get this stuff done. Like, I cut, at least for myself, I'm not sure if this would work for you, but it's worth a try. When I write stuff out and I literally say, okay, from here, like before 12 today, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then after 12 today, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And by 7, I'm going to be done with everything so that I can rest. Usually that works a lot better than me just like waking up. And that I do that the day before I go to sleep. Usually it works a lot better than me waking up the day of and it's already like 9:30 and I feel like I've already wasted so much time. And then I still have to like choose all my tasks and I still have to do it all and I don't want to like even look at the tasks because it's like, oh, once I look at it, I have to do it and then like it makes it feel real. So then I start avoiding it and that's where the procrastination happens. So if you just do things like if you schedule things ahead of time, it'll just completely cut off all of that like gray area of like waiting and like figuring out what you have to do. Like if you just give your like you don't even have to give yourself a choice. Be like, okay, when I wake up, I'm doing this. Period. That's it. Or like this works for anything too. Like even if it's not just like a schedule like that, just like make sure like whatever you allot yourself time for, you have no other choice but to do it. And just like rush yourself into the activity. Like say for example, you know that the only time you're going to have a chance to shower today is going to be so you can still get a good amount of sleep is exactly when you get home because you only have like a 30-minute window before you have to go to like a choir practice or like a different event that you have to do or a different club activity. When you do that, just like set yourself up for success. Like when you get there, have make sure like the day before, like I said, like if you have to shower, like get your clothes ready for when you come back home and leave everything in the bathroom so that when you get home, all you do is rush into the bathroom, turn on the water, and then just jump straight into the shower. You have no thoughts, you don't have to think about anything. You just do it and you go like that. And like doing that will help you avoid procrastination because you don't give yourself that chance to think, oh, should I do it or should I not? It's like you have to do it right now and you have no other choice. So I do that sometimes, and when I do, it works really good, and I usually don't procrastinate. So maybe you guys should try that too. But yeah. My last tip, finally, is if you need to, cut yourself some slack, guys. If you're anything like me and you have a whole bunch of different responsibilities because you just can't say no and you just love to be involved, um, sometimes you just can't do stuff. And sometimes you just need a break. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. Like, cut yourself some slack. Like, understand that you're not perfect and that whatever you want to do, sometimes it just isn't realistic for you at the moment. Like, yeah, maybe when you were, like, last year, you were able to juggle all these responsibilities, but that was last year. You're a new person this year. And so, like, you have different responsibilities, different habits. You're just a different person because you've grown from what you did, hopefully. Um, so just understand that sometimes you're just not going to be able to do everything that you want to, and that's perfectly okay. And also, if you need to, delegate. Like, this works especially well, like, for clubs and, like, teams and, like, group efforts. But if you have a task and you just know that you won't be able to get it done or it's giving you a lot of stress, try to give that task or, like, divide that task among other people. Like, say, for example, you're president of a club and you have a club fair coming up and you just won't have time to make the poster for the club fair You're president of a club. A club means there's other people inside of that activity. So if you can't do it, reach out and ask for help and be like, hey guys, I need someone who can make the poster ready by Thursday so that we can have it for the club fair. Boom. Now that activity is still going to get done, but it's a lot less stress for you and you won't have to like try to squeeze it in into a time where you don't really have time to do it. And like also when you do that, sometimes you help avoid doing like a half-tried job. Sorry, I had to say that. But like basically what I'm trying to say is sometimes when you don't delegate stuff and you give yourself too much things to do, like you won't be able to fully commit yourself to doing that task. If you know what I mean? Like if say for example, you had to stay up really late to do a poster because you couldn't fit it in into any other time of your day and so you lose sleep over it, it's not going to turn out that good because it's rushed and you don't really have time and you're sleepy and you're tired and it's just a whole bunch of other things. So it's not going to be it's not going to be the best result. In contrast, if you gave it to someone else who did have the time and didn't have to rush it, it would be a much better result and it would work out better for you and the club and everyone else involved. So when you need to, just delegate the tasks. Like it's okay to ask for help, it's okay to not be perfect, and it's okay to just realize that you can't get everything done. And like on that note, like even if it's not like a club or team thing or if it's a more personal thing, like sometimes you just have to sacrifice stuff. Um like so I had to do this a lot junior year and you know what? It worked out for me. But be careful with this because this is like a risky thing to do. But if you know that you have like say for example, you have AP homework and only you can do your homework, right? And you have homework or an assignment for a different class, and you know like the AP homework is like gonna make or break your grade or like determine your letter grade or something like that, do the AP homework and leave the other assignment for like another time. Even if it's late. I know, that sucks. I know. But like pay attention to teacher policies because sometimes on the syllabus, like if you just turn in an assignment one day late, it's only 10% off, which means that if you do it completely well, then you'll get a 90%. That's still an A. Like that's perfectly okay. You know what I mean? So like sometimes it's better to just like leave things off. And yeah, like you're sacrificing that 10%, but better to sacrifice that 10% in a class that doesn't really matter because it might be just a prerequisite or like a general ed class. And instead of like sacrificing a class that does matter, such as your AP class, where like you couldn't study for a night the night before your test because you had to do this like busy work task. You know what I mean? So figure out what you can sacrifice and when you can sacrifice, when you can afford to sacrifice things, because you're going to need to. Like, if you have a lot of responsibilities, some things are gonna require more effort than others, and that means that some things are going to get less effort because more of your effort is going to something else. So allow yourself to do that. And then I'm not sure how this is for everyone else, but like sometimes when I'm really, really busy, like I'll ask my mom to like do my lunch for the next day or something like that. I mean, usually I do it myself, but if like your parent or like your guardian or someone in your household is able to help you out with like the small stuff, like doing your laundry or getting your food ready or like making you a meal or just stuff like really simple like that, then don't be afraid to ask them to help you. But yeah, anyways, to recap, to stay on top of your stuff, you gotta figure out your priorities, you gotta find out how long and when you need to complete these priorities so that you can then use a planner to write down and when you're going to do these priorities with daily and weekly routines, and then you're gonna stick to that schedule as strongly as you can and be stubborn with that schedule. And then you're gonna cut yourself some slack and delegate when needed. And this will all help you to just like be on top of your stuff and get the things you need to get done. But yeah, anyways, I really hope that's helpful for you guys. That's what I do. Keep in mind that people's habits don't work for everyone. So if this doesn't work for you, then try to figure out like what does work for you and what doesn't work for you, and if something does not work for you, then figure a way to make it so it works for you. I know I said for you a lot, but I hope that sentence made sense. But yeah, if like just tweak things so that it fits your personal lifestyle. But yeah, I feel like we all needed this, especially me. I needed a reminder to myself because we're like officially like into the school year now, and it's kind of crazy, especially since summer literally felt like yesterday. But yeah, anyways, wherever you guys are listening, make sure to like, follow, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow the pod on Instagram at Living Through It Podcast. And then remember that you can listen to this podcast wherever you find podcasts and or on YouTube, because this is indeed and in fact a video podcast. Which, speaking of, Spotify now has a new update where you can listen to the podcast but also watch it on Spotify. So if you want to listen on Spotify but watch the podcast, you can do both, because I will now be uploading video podcasts to Spotify as well. But yeah, make sure to come back next week for more advice. My name is Isabella, and this has been Living Through It. Love ya. Bye!